we have a brand new method now for receiving your user input, and that's right here. We have a new site, and it's accu.uservoice.com. You can just type that right in there. If you sign in, if you don't already have a sign-in, you can just enter your email. We've got this open right now. If we start getting spammed, we may change that. But if you enter your email address, you can go right in here and submit your own requests. And I'm actually going to record a video on how to use this, but we have just generally a lot of different topics that we've added. You can even add your own topics. But you vote on the updates or the features that you'd like to see in new releases of AccuTrack or AccuSQL, and then we'll just count up the votes and see who's got the most, and that's how we'll make a determination about what we're going to put into the new releases. Okay, so accu.uservoice.com. By the way, you get 10 votes per person for every sign-in here, so if you want to put, I think it's a total of 3 votes for each item. You can use up all 3 or 1 at a time, however you decide you want to put them in there. Okay? Okay, let's start then, and I've got a big list of features. I'm going to show them to you. I'm kind of going to be jumping all over the place here in AccuTrack, or I'm in AccuSQL here. So follow me as much as you can, and like I say, we even have a nice document that CY has done for us for what's new in 12, so you can review that at your leisure. I can certainly send that to you. And again, if you want to call us or email us to ask more questions, we're more than happy to help. Okay, so I'm just going to basically run through some of the features here, and I'll log in as admin. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some reporting filters that we've added. So I'm going to click on my reports. Now, any of you who have used reports, you can memorize reports. For instance, if I want to run, say, my visit by activity report, well, by default, it's going to show this semester. But I could say, how about, this month, for instance. So when I pick that filter, and maybe pick a particular student group, well, I don't have any, but if I did, I could do that. But I can right-click here and do memorize this report. This month, let's say. Make it available to everybody. And the yellow box I don't care about. So to show you what I've just done there, I go back into my report. I look at my memorized report, and you can see I've got this semester, but it's now memorized this month. Okay? So I can memorize my reports on a per report basis, but we have a new feature now where I can pin a period of time for the entire report screen. So what I mean by that, I'll go back out and back in so we don't have them memorized. Okay, so let's say I want to run reports, all of my various reports, but I always know that I want to run them for this month. So I have a little pen menu right here. Okay, when I click the pen, it remembers the filters that I've set for the entire report screen. Okay, so that's kind of nice. You don't have to go in and memorize one by one if you want to do this month on a report, for instance, and you don't have to pick the drop-down filter every time you want to run the report. You can just pin it. By the way, anytime you see this period from to box, it's in lots of different places here in AccuTrack or AccuSQL. You can pin any of those menus wherever you are. Okay. We also have a couple of new filters we've added. I've got, let's see here, looks like last 7 days is one. Yeah, last 7 days, last 24 by 7. So these are 2 new filters we've added based on user requests. Last 24 by 7 is going to take into account what the time is. So it's going to run the last 7 days, basically, based on whatever time it is right now. Okay? And I think last, or that's 24 by 7, I guess. Last 7 days is pretty self-explanatory. That'd be from Friday to last Friday. Okay? This 24 by 7 is last Friday at 1:07 through this Friday at 1:07, for instance. Okay. All right, now let's go look at the attachment screen here. And you can put attachments for tutors or students. But if I go to my student screen, what we've done here is if I want to do an attachment for a particular person, I can do it right here and pick a document, whatever I'd like to attach to that record. And I save. I can view the document here, but what I really want to show you is now I have an icon on my attachment screen. So I know automatically, student by student, which one has an attachment and which one doesn't. Okay? Jimi Hendrix has attachments here, and just to show you a little little trick you can run in AccuTrack. I can actually open browser windows with my attachments, and I can show you how to do that if you're interested. But for instance, I've got a link there that's going to take me to Google. So I can set up hyperlinks right through my attachments as well. And that's not a new feature. I just think it's kind of cool, so I wanted to show it to you. Okay. All right, next I'm going to go to the sign-ins. I've got a new option here on sign-ins. And for any of you using 11, you probably know what these interfaces look like. So this is brand new here. I can lock a particular category, activity, instructor, service type, and or tutor here. So in other words, I'm not going to have a bunch of different activities that students can pick from. I can, on a temporary basis, lock the sign-in computer to display only one activity, or only one service type, or whatever I prefer. So if I did that, for instance, let's just do a sign-in and take a look at what we've got. Okay, well, he was already signed in, so let's sign him out and sign him in again. So I've got a whole bunch of different stuff here, as you can see. But then I'll go lock a particular item. And let's say I want to lock on, how about a particular activity? Let's make it advanced database, for instance. Okay, so, and it will inherit the category automatically. And let's say I want it to be for a particular tutor. We'll say Cindy in this case. Now, what that's going to do, you know, as you do a sign-in, if you do tutor selection, you would pick from your tutors. It's going to bypass tutor selection entirely. It's going to know automatically to assign that to Cindy. Okay. So we'll sign back in again to verify that worked. So now I'm locked on pick a course is what I made my category. I'm locked on advanced database. I did not lock service type or instructor. And we're going to get to this one in a minute. And you notice it didn't pick tutor selection. Even though I have that turned on, it didn't pick it because it knows to assign to Cindy Bright. Okay, I'll sign him back out. And I've got my surveys running here. And that's basically it. Okay, now you may have noticed on that sign out, my box was awfully big. That's just a small feature, but we had a request for that. So in my sign out screen now, I can change my font size. So I've got yellow font box size. So I can make it, it's 12 point now, I can make it 14, 15, whatever I want to do. Okay? All right. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is a big one, and it may be a lot more important to some of you than to others. This is the one-to-many relationship of activities to local labs. Okay, and I'll show you how that works. Now, any of you that have experiences with local labs, this will make a lot more sense to you. But in a nutshell, local lab assignments, I can make AccuSQL or AccuTrack look different based on the local lab setup that I give it. I can make it serve up different activities based on the local lab assignment. So what I mean by that, I could have a reading lab and a math lab, for instance. One would say welcome to the reading lab and would have my reading lab setup options. One would be welcome to the math lab and have my math setup options. And then I could even have activities in reading and in math. Okay, now the old AccuTrack, version 11 and earlier, it was a very difficult thing, and some of you are probably nodding your heads that have dealt with this, when you're trying to import activities into AccuTrack for different labs. So what I mean by that is, let's say I have a class called MAT 1101. Okay, I want that to be available in my Math Center, but I also want it to be available in my Student Success Center, for instance. I would have to import that activity twice with two unique names in order to accomplish that in the old AccuTrack. So I'd have to have MAT 1101 maybe with an activity ID 01, MAT 1101 with an activity ID 02. And we have users that have, for instance, 6 or more local lab assignments, and when they're trying to import shared activities, well, they've got to import them, with 6 different unique names for that MAT 1101, and it became a logistical nightmare to try to do those imports. Okay, so we've changed all that, and let's take a look at it. Okay, so I'm going to look at my activities here, and I have a category called Computer Labs. Let's take a look at that one. So I have something called Check Email, College Intranet Use, Online Courses, Open Labs, etc. But what I want you to focus on is right down here. This is all new, available in these specific labs. So I've got a single unique activity called Check Email, but then I can say, well, I want Check Email to be available for an activity selection. Right now I've got Math Computer Lab. Well, I could add Reading Lab. So I can determine which local lab is going to serve up which activity, and I can share them across local labs. Okay? Now remember, the default lab is, think of it as all labs. So the default lab serves up everything. Your local labs serve up what you tell them to. Okay? And if I go back just to show you how that works, I'll do another student sign in here. And, oh, I'm locked. Let me go unlock. Bam, 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 bam. Okay. So now I've got this big long list of courses, right? And I'm assigned to my default lab. And remember, default lab shows everything. Okay? But now I'm going to go change my local lab. Okay, and I do that in my setup, center setup, local lab ID right here. Okay? And that's where I can change it. So what I'm saying at this, when I assign a local lab assignment is, hey, computer, you're sitting at the front of the math lab, and I want you to handle all the math lab sign-ins. Okay? And just real quickly to let you know, if you don't already, my local lab assignments here, I can do all kinds of different setup based on my local lab. So all of my options can be dependent on the local lab. Okay? But let's go back to sign in. Now you can see I've got intake system on here. Well, so that's a whole different animal. It says welcome to the math lab. Different buttons displaying, etc. So remember, in default lab I showed all kinds of things, but now I've just got the activity assignments that I've given that local lab designation. Okay? So you can see I've got Check Email and Open Lab Use. Well, that had that math lab assignment back in the activity screen. And my Pick a Course here, that's all my classes, and you can see I've assigned math as the local lab to all those. Okay, so I've just got math activities or services here. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to show you about this. Oops, I guess I should do the ID, right? Is under my center setup again. Let's go to lab IDs. Okay, so I've got a computer lab, a math lab, and a reading lab, but I've got some new buttons down here. So instead of having to go to that activity screen, pick that little button, check the box, go pick Math Lab, save, do it to the next one, do it to the next one, do it to the next one. That would be awfully tedious. So what I can do is right here, view, modify activities held in this lab. So if I want my Math Lab, any of you remember the tutor assignments screen for activities, it actually is that. But then I can just add whatever activities I want to be available for the local lab that I've picked back on the screen behind it. Okay. So if I wanted to add another item to Math Lab, well, I'd pick it up here and just double click on it and move it down. So just like that, I've now added a new activity for the Math Lab. I can add it to the computer lab or the reading lab the same way. Okay? And if I want to, okay, we'll get to this in a second. I can do the same thing with services, which is kind of exciting. So I can have service assignments at the local lab level. Okay? All right, moving right along. And that leads me right to the next one, which is service types. Okay, so I'm going to go to my service types, which is under my student setup. And remember, service types, basically, it's just another box we can add on the sign-in screen and put in whatever we want for it. But here's my various service types, and then I've got local lab designations. So in my Math Lab, I'm showing self-study as well as in the computer lab. In my new student tour, well, I didn't pick anything, so that's just going to be in the default lab. Required hours, math, computer, etc. Okay? And remember the service type, it's going to show the service types that you've designated at whatever local lab you have the computer assigned as. So I know when I assign my local computer to Math Lab, I'm going to see 4 lab hours is going to be one of my available service types. Okay? Okay, we've got some, now I'm going to shift gears entirely and talk about appointments. And again, I'm going to kind of be jumping around, but no problem. I think what I'll do also is set my local lab back to default just because it's easier to work with. Oops, if I could click it right. Okay, so let's look at appointments here. And there's some neat new things we can do with appointments. In my View Cancel menu, right here, there's some new buttons I didn't have before. Now this is going to show my appointments. I've got, I don't know, 4 of them here. So I'll just click one, and then I have quite a few new buttons down here. I can reschedule that appointment right here on the fly. I can repeat it, so do the exact same thing on a different date and time. I can change the tutor that was assigned for that appointment, change its room location, go from exclusive to group or group to exclusive. So I have quite a bit of power right here in this one window. So for instance, let's say I have this appointment with Jim Hendricks here. I can reschedule that. And it's going to take me to my appointment wizard, but what I'm going to do is basically change the appointment from what is showing to a new one. Okay, so we'll say, let's say 8 p.m. for 30 minutes. On the 18th, I can add a note, whatever. Okay, and I guess I probably should have made note of the appointment date and time prior, but trust me, it did it. It changed that appointment from whatever I had there, if anybody noticed, to now I'm the 17th from 7, I guess, to 7:15, whatever I'd set that as. And the same sort of thing here. These are basically drop-down menus here. And you can see when I click 2, they're grayed out because I can't change 2 at once. It has to be on a one-item basis. But if I want to change the tutor, let's see, Cindy Bright is my tutor now. But I can just click on that. It'll pop open the appointment details, and right here I pick my tutor. Well, I want it to be Morgan Freeman, and I can change that right on the fly. Okay, and it's even checking. It says, no, you can't do that, because Morgan Freeman already has an exclusive appointment at that date and time. So it's going to catch me and not let me do it wrong. Okay, that will go the other way. So hopefully Cindy Bright in this case doesn't have a conflict, and she does not. Okay, I could put my note. So now, once this closes, we can see now I have 4 Cindy Brights. So I took away the Morgan Freeman and assigned it to Cindy. Okay. Change location. This is room assignments, and that's in Center Setup, by the way, is where you do your room assignments. So you define them there, and then I can change them on the fly. Okay, and switch from group to exclusive or back and forth. I don't have to show you that. You know how that works. Okay, so a lot of things being handled right here in the View Appointments window. And these are things in 11. I don't know about all of them, but a lot of things you had to go various places to make happen. So we're kind of trying to centralize the kind of activities that you would normally do with appointments. Okay. And as I said, in Center Setup, if you want to use that, Center Setup Rooms is where I set up my location assignments, my room assignments, okay, including capacity. Okay, now we have another real big item that we've added here. A lot of people actually have upgraded to version 12 just for this reason that we're on 11. But what we're talking about is sending scheduled reports to instructors. Now, some of you may not do that, but any of you who do are going to love this feature. What I do is I have my instructors, and remember, instructors are professors that teach a course. So I have my instructors defined with the instructor's email, okay, and I want to allow the student to pick the instructor at sign-in. You know, in order to send them to the instructors, well, I'd have to know which instructor they picked. So I'm showing instructor box. But right below that, I have a couple of items. I have instructor selection is required, and in instructor selection box, sort first last name. But here's the biggie. Here's the new one. Ask student whether to report session to instructor, and if I do so, whether or not I do so, then I can schedule that. Okay, now we're going to see how this works. We may have seen that earlier, but a little box pops up for the student that says, would you like to send this session to your instructor, to your professor? Okay, I can say yes or no here, but here's where I schedule those reports. Okay, so I've set up a little email, your student attendance at the Success Center. I can put in my message. Now you notice I don't have an email field. Well, I don't have one because I don't need one, because the student is going to pick the instructor, their professor, when they sign into the activity. AccuSQL already knows that, so it will then send the report for the students that have visited that particular professor automatically based on the schedule that you set up here. So what I've said is between September 10th to the 28th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I want to send a report that's going to show attendance by instructor for this semester for every student that picked the particular instructor to sign into the center for. Okay, so if he signed in with Joe Smith for a particular course, any students that signed in with Joe Smith are going to be included in that PDF report that's automatically sent out as an email on the schedule here. Okay, and I have an option as well. If I don't want to do emails, I can save it to a shared folder. I can pick and choose which one of those or both that I want to do. Okay? All right. Now we already know about scheduling reports. We've had that in 11. So if I wanted to, I could go do an instructor report and I could schedule that report. Okay? But then I would have to go pick the particular instructor that I want it to go to, right? I'd have to put in the email, et cetera, et cetera. But then I would have to go run my instructor filter in order to pick the instructor that I wanted, right? So if I want to send George Lucas an email that says, hey, George, here's all the students who came in to see you, I could do that, but what if I wanted to do it for every instructor? Well, I'd have to set up, in this case, I don't know, what is that, 15 or 18 different scheduled reports to make that happen for every instructor. Now that process is totally automated with the scheduled instructor reports. Okay? And I think I have that set, but we'll do that real quick just to show you how it works. It's just a simple little box that pops up. Okay, so yes, I am asking. So now I'll return to the sign-in screen. and pick a particular course. So let's just say I'm signing into this, required hours, and my instructor, professor, is Woody Allen. I continue. And I don't have a tutor defined for that, which is no problem. Okay, and here's our box. Can we report this visit to your instructor? So if we want to show that, we can. We don't have to. But that gives the student the option of sending it or not sending it. Okay? All right, the next feature that we have is we can now send text messages to cell phones based on a lot of different things. Okay? There's a lot of places such as Messaging Center, the Intake Center can use messaging, and probably various other places I'm not even thinking about. But what that's going to do is send a text message to the cell phone number for the person indicated. For instance, a good example might be I'm using the intake system. My students sign into AccuTrack, and it puts them in the queue. So they go off and have coffee, go to the library, whatever they're doing. They'll get a text message when they're next up. So when they're signed in, they get the message saying, please come to the center. You know, it's your turn. And you can customize that message even. Okay? Let's see. And that's under Options, General, and I'm sorry, and then SMS Configuration. So here's where I set that up, and we have two different services available. We have Skype, which a lot of people know about, and Nexmo, which too many people may not know about. But either one is fine. You can set it up right here. You set up a Nexmo account, and it'll give you the information to enter right here. And I think the messages, the cost on Nexmo is about 1 cent to message, I believe. So very, very affordable. So that option is there if you want to use it. And here's your custom message for the intake system, just like I was talking about. Okay. Now you also have the option of, let's say a particular student doesn't want to use text messaging. At the student level, you have the option to not send an SMS message. So by default, it'll use the cell phone to send it, but if you don't want to send it, you can turn them off. Okay? Okay, the next item we have is, again, based on a user request, and we're talking about a new import that we've added here. And some of you are very familiar with the imports. I know you've done lots and lots of them. So we've added another one, hopefully to make your life easier. And right here, I've got my file. Okay, and it's all the way at the bottom here. It's called Tutor Activity Assignment. Now, when you go into the tutor screen, remember you add your tutors and then you do the add assignments, and those are the activities that the tutor is available to help students with. So you can go in there manually and add one or more of those in the window, but you know that would be for every tutor. You'd have to do their assignments. So if you have the data available to you, you can import it right here on the fly. So let me just show you real quick how that works. I've got a tutor here, and I'll use Liz Bates. Okay, now Liz Bates has 2 activity assignments right now, right? Check email, open lab use. And this is what I was talking about. Well, I can manually go add something else, right, from the top to the bottom. The bottom is what she's available to help with. The top is what's out there, okay? But, again, I can do it with the import. So let's do that. Okay, and there's my preview of my import file. I'll clear this. Okay, and there's only really 3 items of information you have to have, because remember there's an activity name and an activity ID. So if you don't have activity ID, you wouldn't map it. And in this case, well, I don't. I just have an activity name. So my tutor ID is column 1, my category is column 2, and my activity name is column 3. So I'll drag that in, go next, finish. There they are, and go back to verify that in the tutor screen. And there we go. Liz Bright now has 3 new assignments based on the import. So that may be real handy for some of you. Okay. All right, the next item up for bids, and I know we're going fast. We've got about 28 minutes, so I'm going to try to get through this. are custom notes. Again, a user request. The user had a need for this, so we thought, hey, people could use this. Let's add it. Okay, and that's a very simple thing to add a note. I can right-click anywhere except for the grid, the navigation grid. So outside of that, I'm just going to right-click, and now I've got a new option called Add Note. Okay, and there's a lot of different things I can do here. By default, it says Note, but I can change that. I can decide what icon I want to assign to the note. Tooltip, if I want to, the little yellow box that pops up. And I can even decide who I want to make it available to. If I say me only, well, that's self-explanatory. Anybody that signs in will get it. Or I can say, well, I only want to send it to students, or I only want to send it to tutors, or only to admins. Okay, and remember, that's based on the tutors and admins are based on your access groups. So the people that you put in the tutor group would get it. The people you have in your admin group would get it. Okay? And I'll say, how about tutors and admins? Okay, so there it is, and you can see it says important with my exclamation point, and I even have more options beyond that. Now that I've made the note, well, I can right-click on it and do various things, including moving the note. So by doing that, I can drag it and put it wherever I want to be. So, well, I'll put it up here in the corner where it looks a little better. Okay, so now I have that note, and I'm an admin, but if I return back in, and I think he might be signed in, we'll see. Yeah, he is. So let's sign him out and back in just so we can see that. So now Morgan Freeman, the tutor, and you can see he's in the tutor access group because he doesn't have nearly the options. But because I said display to tutors, well, it's going to show up. And there we go. Remember the meeting at 2 p.m. today. Okay. And again, some of you may use these features like crazy. Some of you may not use them at all. But, you know, we had a lot of input for them, so we're adding them. And then if I want to delete the note, I just do another right-click. I can actually edit the contents or move it again or delete it. So there it goes. Okay. All right. Okay, the next one we're pretty excited about here too. We've had a lot of people, obviously almost every one of you are setting up mail servers in order to send your messages, your confirmations, appointment reminders, et cetera, out to students and or tutors in AccuTrack. But we now have support for SSL, which is pretty exciting because then you can use a Gmail account if you wanted to. Okay, right here is what we're talking about, use SSL. Okay, so this is going to open it up an awful lot. Some of you have restrictions on your email servers. You know, you're having a difficult time. Some of you may even have to, like, I don't know, pay annually to have an email server. Well, all that's going to go away now that we're using SSL. Okay, so we can use Gmail, for instance. Okay, now just to show you, I've got a little document here, and I found a great article for you, and I can send that to whoever's interested in it. But if I show you that real quick. Well, if my browser window would open, hold on one second. It really couldn't be easier. So right here, Google Gmail setup pop email clients. Tells you the SSL port to use, outgoing, incoming, how to use your account, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really a breeze to set up, and you know, hopefully some of you will really get a lot out of this one. Okay. Okay, another small feature, but I think an important one, is any of you that have used intake system, you know, there was a restriction in intake system that it didn't really do a whole lot with local labs. In other words, I could turn on or turn off intake system, but that was across the board. You know, if I turned it on or off, it would be turned on or off at every lab, the math lab, the reading lab, the default lab. but now I can change those designations on a local lab basis. So for instance, if I switch to my math lab, then I can turn on or off intake system. Now some of you may have remembered that other time I signed into math lab, well, it had intake system on. So I've got it running there, but in my default lab, I do not. Okay? So I can change intake system on a per lab basis, which I think is big for some of you. Okay? Okay, let's talk next about, we've added some new reports here. One of them that we've added that actually was surprising it was missing, but it was the tutor session reports. So if I go to tutor, I've got two here. Let's see. Oh, is it under tutor? Maybe it's not. Give me a second, see if I can track it down. Oh, here they are, right here. Session questionnaire and session questionnaire summary. So my session questionnaire is going to show me, remember, tutoring sessions, basically you set up a questionnaire, which is a form that the tutor fills out in the session log once they're complete with the student. So you can have them enter session notes, but you can also set up session questionnaires. So here are the questions. I'm showing the person, the category and activity, their answers to the questions. Okay, so that's on a per student basis. But then if I go to my summary, okay, then it's not going to be at the student level, it's going to be at the survey question level. So what I've done here with student prepared, well, I've had 2 yeses and 1 no, and it's going to check my weight. Weight is the average answer, so I could go, you know, if I had lots more with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could see that my average weight was a 3, which, you know, I would be doing about a C or a C+. Okay, so you set up the weights however you want. Okay, but this is a new report, the session questionnaire. Okay, the next item is in chart visits. We've added a new feature for that. And this is a fairly new database, so I'm going to have big bars, but that's okay. We can still look at it. In other words, I haven't had a lot of sign-in, so it's not going to show me, you know, great detailed data. But we can still take a look, see how big my boxes are. And this will just take a second. Come on. Okay, and the new one we added is daily peak hours right here. So this is a number of visitors by hour. You can see, so from, well, it's kind of hard to read. I could zoom in on it, but from 9 to 10, well, I had 1. From 11 to 12, I had 7. From 12 to 1, I had 3, etc. So that's a new report. You know, people wanted that. We had more than one asking for that, so we went ahead and put that in. Okay. Seminar statistics, that's a new report. We already had seminar registration, but statistics just kind of gives you an overall view of the seminars. So I have money since for grads by Tammy. Capacity of the rooms 100. I've got 12 people registered. I've got juggling made easy. Seats 20 with 4 registered. So it's just a quick view. And of course, if you go run your other report, it shows all the students that are registered for that particular seminar. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Appointment Central has some new items that I want to show you. And you can tell we've been busy. We put quite a few in this new release, so we're happy about that. And it'll continue to grow based on your input. Okay, and this is a small one, but we can just look at it. If I do my appointment details, we never had before the note. So remember the little note that pops up. So this is kind of nice. I'm now showing the note in my Appointment Central report. Okay. Not much, but nice. The other thing with the notes, I can now add notes to my emails. which is also a nice feature. So if I go to my email confirmations, for instance, I now have somewhere in here, let's see, new appointments right here. I have a new notes field. And if you guys haven't seen this before, it's just basically going to send my email as HTML format, and these are called merge fields. They merge the data from whatever record for the appointment, but now I've got a note field, and I can just drag that right in wherever I want. Okay, and I already had one there because I was playing with it, but then I can put my notes in my table or whatever I want to do. So now the notes will display in the confirmation. Okay, it's another one I don't even have to show you, but in my session log, there was a request where I can now filter my session log based on the local lab ID, which I couldn't do before. Okay? And actually, I'm running through this maybe faster than I should because we're about done, but that'll open it up to questions. But I just want to show you real quick in our AccuSQL, which is our web scheduling module. I think that's right. I've got it on another server out there. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I've got some new options in my AccuSQL. The first one is my drop-down database selection. So I can define as many databases as I would like for AccuSQL, and then it will, the student will basically pick the one that they want to use. So I can, schedule an appointment here at Chad's Tutoring Center, my center, or Mary's center. Okay, so multiple database support. The other item I have here is my notes, or excuse me, my news articles, not notes. So I have an XML file. I have a file out there that pulls the data, and I can define whatever news articles I want to show here on the main page. So it's kind of a nice way to communicate with your students. You know, you're sitting in their dorm room with the browser. You can communicate whatever you want to them right here. Okay? Okay, and again, just to reiterate on that user voice, I know we looked at that once, but we're excited about it and we want to get your input. It's just accu.uservoice.com. And I would encourage you to all go in there and submit your requests. So we'll definitely, we take them seriously, we'll look at them, we'll evaluate them, and we're always looking for ideas for new releases. So we appreciate all the good input you've already given us. Okay? And that, I know that was the 25,000-foot view, and we flew through this, but at least it sort of exposes you to it. One other thing I want to show you here, once you do get to 12, CY has been kind enough to put a What's New in 12 document out. So if we take a look at that, basically you go to Start menu, Programs, AccuSQL, and I have right here, What's New in 12. So that document is going to be available for everybody that installs 12. And it's really going to cover what I covered. I printed that document out to go through it. So CY did a real good job on this, and this will take you through every new item we have. So I would encourage you to look at that once you get 12. It'll give you a good feel for it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is look at the chat window and see if we have anybody chatting. I can't turn all of you off mute, but I can selectively, and I'll answer any questions. Okay, it looks like we have a few. It looks like mine is real small. Give me a second. I'll try to expand it where I can see better. One second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's see. I've got... Okay. I've got one that says, are the email notes center specific? Well, that's a great question, and I will check on that for you, but my initial answer is no, I don't believe they are. They're specific to the access groups, but I don't think they're specific to the local lab. I will verify that. But when I go, an easy way to check that when you're in AccuTrack is just go into a screen and see if you have the drop-down box. Oh, I already have one running, sorry. But see if you have the drop-down box like I see in my options screen right here. If I see a drop-down that says lab, 9 out of 10 times that means I'm going to be able to specify it at the lab level. My note really is just a note. So I don't think that's going to make a difference. I can check, but I think the answer is no at this point. Again, user voice, there's a good one to put into user voice. Okay, the next question I have is, are there any new options changes when configuring the database location in 12? No, that's pretty much the same that we had before. You know, obviously there's a difference between SQL and Fox. But if I go to my database location here, I pick native or SQL Server mode. So in my native mode, again, it's just file-based. I'll go pick where my database resides. Good thing to know here, if you can run the application itself with different credentials than Windows logs in as. So that might be handy if, for instance, you have a computer you really don't want to open up to students, but it has to have certain permissions to access the database. You can put them here. The SQL location is about the same. One thing that CY is making note of for me here is we now do support SQL Server 2012. So that just came out. I think Microsoft just released that, but we're good on 2005, 2008, and 2012. Okay. Okay, the next one is, can you add more than one instructor? And let's see, let me open that up here, see if I can get you on, Satandra. 1 second, I'm going to see if I can unmute you. Satandra, you see her?
Hi, I'm back.
Okay, is that you, Satandra?
Yes, I am. Actually,
hey, how are you?
All right, thank you. I actually have a couple of questions. The first one is about that adding more than one instructor for an activity. Is that possible? Like when you are assigning an activity, is it possible to have 2 names for a particular activity? You showed it at the very beginning of the session. Just like,
you can have multiple instructors for an activity, sure. So, for instance, if I had, my C++ programming, for instance, here, I can go pick the instructors, and which ones. This is basically which ones teach the course.
Right, but sometimes we have like 2 instructors, because someone may go on leave or something. So it can be a little confusing at the beginning of the semester if the student sees the name with one person and then it changes to the other one. So I would imagine it would be much more convenient if I know ahead of time and I can assign the 2 instructors for a certain activity. That's possible, right?
Yeah, well, it would show 3 like in the sign-in here, but I mean there's only one that they could ever pick at any time.
Okay, so the default will be 1, but they can be assigned for one particular activity.
Right.
Okay, so the second question, you are showing on AccuSQL, but is the version also available for Fox Pro database? That's the one we are running.
Oh, you mean all the things I'm showing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, either Fox Pro 12 or the SQL 12. Yeah, they both have pretty much exactly the same feature sets.
Oh, okay.
So everything I'm showing you right now, I could be running Fox 12 and it would be the same thing.
Okay, very good. Because a couple of things and features I really liked it. One is about that peak hour thing you added. It was my big take on it. I actually needed that one very much.
Oh, good. Good.
Sorry, we actually had to do the data analysis on our own. Taking all the students who are attending at a certain time. We calculated, we did the graph and all kinds of stuff. So it would ease up on our side. very much. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm happy we can help. Yeah, that's good to know that we put one somebody wanted. So.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing is about the last question I have is about the reports, the scheduled reports. I'm actually working on that one, and looks like it does do the job very well. It keeps the reports and everything, but the dates are so incorrect. I don't know it was ever noticed or what the I have sent out the file to CY to take a look, but it's got the date of like absurd dates like some 99, 1299 or something like that. Very weird dates I have. That's why I think.
Okay.
Can
You mean in the scheduler here?
Yeah, in the scheduler.
Okay, now because typically I think, and we can talk about it more, together, but I think that's related to, by default, is going to show whatever your semester setup is. Let's see if I'm wrong or right.
No, the semester is set up correctly. Just that the scheduling, it says 1/1/1995 through 12/31/9999, which is absurdly 9,999.
Okay. Yeah, we could look at that. I'm not sure because mine's showing the 10th through the 28th, and I'm not sure where it pulled that, so I'll have to track down where that's coming from.
Okay, okay. So we can talk about that later.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you make a good point, though, because I don't know where I have 10 to 28, so it's pulling that from somewhere. I'll just have to figure out where.
Okay. So we do need to look at it at a later time, maybe. I can send you the file I have, and we'll take a look, and then we can work together.
Okay.
By the way, you need to let us know about your email address. I'm pretty sure we should have it, right? Your email address?
Yeah, it's just David F. Actually, let's make it easier so all the support guys will get it. Just do support at engineerica.com.
Okay. Okay. I'll do
Yeah,
that.
that way we'll all get them. CY will get them too.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question here from Lauren that says, if the intake system is turned on for different local labs, will they each have their own queue? Yes, they will. So that's a new feature, and each one will be local lab specific. Okay. All right, moving along, I have one from Sarah that says, is there a way to limit the number of hours a tutor is scheduled? Say availability is 30 hours a week. Oh, it just jumped on me. Let's see. 30 hours a week, but they are only contracted to work 20. Let's see. And then it cut off somewhere. Okay, but I think I get the gist of it. So limit the number of hours a tutor is scheduled. What you can do is limit the number of hours that the tutor works. So if I go to my, I think it's in tutor sign-in maybe. Yeah, so I can do a max sign-in period. This isn't what I want. Hold on, I'll find it here. Let's see. CY is helping me track it down.
Sign screen.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, we've got, no, maybe not. Well, here it is. Okay, so max weekly work hours per tutor. So that's probably would handle what you're wanting. So, they can only do X number of hours. And then at that point, I'm not sure, I think we'll probably give them a message saying your max hours are reached or something to that effect. So hopefully that would work. If I'm not hitting what exactly you're saying, just call me or email me. We can look at it. And my question box keeps closing, and it's just awfully difficult to work with. I think GoToWebinar needs to work on that one. Let's see. Okay, moving along. Okay, I have some from Monique here. Is there functionality to segregate seminars by lab ID? Not. How about surveys? Thinking about that one. I don't believe so.
It's not separate.
Yeah, I don't think seminars are going to separate based on local lab, no. Nor I think our surveys at this point. There's actually an option that I didn't even show you about surveys. And I don't know how I must have skipped that page, but if I go to my survey manager, I've got a new feature there. Yeah, where I can present my surveys at sign-in now. So that's kind of a handy thing. So basically, I've got a survey I was even going to show you that I set up, but I created, yeah, the how are we doing survey, and I've got that popping in at sign-in. So that's a new feature. But to answer your question, Monique, no, at this point, no, I don't believe, or it's not lab specific. Okay, will the video be available? Is there a special login required? The answer is yes and no. We are recording it, so we're going to have the video up. We put all of the videos on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com and just type in AccuTrack webinar, we're going to have all of them posted there. I think there's 3 or 4 up there, along with some other videos, of how-to videos. So yeah, we will put this one up there. I have one from Roderick that says, will AccuTrack 12 allow us to be able to use iPads to check students in, etc.? Great question. Right now, no, but in the future, yes. Our Academia product, the web-based product, is doing it now, but we certainly have designs to be doing that with, we have an Apple app called iAccu, so we're going to integrate that in with AccuTrack AccuSQL. So currently, no, soon, yes. Okay, and I think I got through all these. I know my question bar was jumping all around. If I missed yours, I sure hope not, but if I happen to, just email me the question and we'll get it. I think I did cover these, though. Okay, so, I would encourage you, if you're 11s and you're Platinum users, go ahead and do the upgrade. We've got a 12.0.0 right now. 12.0.1 is coming soon. So far, it's been a real stable release. We're very, very happy with our .0 release being as good as it is. We're continuing to test and make improvements, but we found very little. For any of you that do have a question that may even be using 12, we've got a program that runs in the background. It's called AccuTR, which is Task Runner. We had a few users reporting that was closing and wasn't doing its instructor reports as designed. So I've got a new one of those out that we've been testing lots and lots, and it looks like it's working well. So if you do happen to see an issue like that, please let me know, and I'll make sure you get that new file that has the fix in it. Anybody that gets 12, if you order 12 or you download 12, it's automatically going to have that in there. So it's just some of our early beta releases and, some of the ones before we officially released 12. Okay, and with that being said, I think we've made it through, and I really thank you all for your attention. I hope you saw some stuff that you can use. It sounded like some of you did, which is great. And again, that user voice is going to be a great resource for you and for us. So we look forward to see your submissions up there. And again, thank you all for your attention, and have a pleasant day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.